Hello and welcome to The Wire. I'm Arfa Khanum Sherwani. I'm in this beautiful state of Hawaii in the United States of America, and I'm attending a very important conference hosted by the East-West Center. Journalists from all around the world have gathered here. We are discussing connecting in a zero-trust world, rebuilding public trust in media. Can media, the trust deficit between media and people, can we rebuild that? This is what we're discussing, and today I have a very special guest with me, Nobel Laureate Ressa. Ressa is a Filipino-American journalist and author, and she's co-founder and CEO of Ressa, and the first Filipino recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. She previously spent nearly 2 decades working as a lead investigative reporter in Southeast Asia for CNN. She's just finished delivering her keynote address, and I'm going to ask her some crucial questions on democracy, freedom of expression, and how journalism can survive in the current world. More specifically, from Indian perspective, the way journalists are being attacked, the way human rights defenders are being attacked. What can we really do about this? Maya, my first question to you would be, why do you think there is a trust deficit? Do you also attribute it to the last 2 years of COVID, where we were kind of a disconnected world? Do you think it added to the deficit of trust we had?
Yeah, so COVID actually, again, like information was weaponized, right? That's part of the reason you see people wearing masks, or the level of distrust. COVID only exacerbated the problem that was there. We've been under intense information operations, and that's the beginning of it. I think people keep thinking it's like randomly, you're just attacked, because it's not. It's targeted, and that's meant to tear down. Just, I think, this big data case study of UNESCO was very instructive. 60% to tear down credibility, 40% to tear down your spirit. Right? So COVID just added another layer, and this is part of the reason I would say, like, this is a once in a century moment. Anthony Fauci said it was once in a century because of COVID, but those very same networks of political disinformation were what was used for COVID disinformation, right? There really is a connection to information warfare.
Right. Why do you think people are so willing to believe what the dictators are saying, what the pliant media is trying to make them believe? Do you not think that people have stopped thinking on their own? Can we really blame all of this to people, or you think that along with social media and pliant media, they have been able to capture their imagination?
It's not the imagination as much as I think people are inundated, which is partly what social media has done. Right? In the past, where would you get your information? From news organizations that actually have to spend money for editorial processes, right? And distribution. Well, today, it's like a fire hose of falsehoods, literally, right? So when you have that, individual people who may have lost their jobs, who just want a simpler world where someone else can make the decisions for them. We're seeing this. I mean, India was the first, Indonesia was the second. Around 2014, there was kind of a nostalgia for a strongman leader. And Prabowo in Indonesia, the former son-in-law of Suharto, almost won, right? That was when Modi won in 2014. So it's a combination of human nature, right? I think what we need to tell our communities is that if you don't fight for your rights now, you will lose them. And it'll be easier for journalists who wants to keep fighting.
Very interesting thing you said, that if there is a battle for facts, if people's minds and facts are being manipulated, then how do you trust the whole entire electoral mechanism, electoral system?
You can't.
We have an election coming up in just about, almost less than 2 years,
yeah.
And we've already gotten into election mode. How do you think that, this manipulation of facts and manipulation of mainstream media is affecting democracies?
It's killing it. It's killing democracy. And then the people who are trying their best to stand up to power, it's like Sisyphus and Cassandra combined, right? It's impossible odds. But we journalists are foolish enough to try, right? So more power to you. I mean, this is why we need courage.
Coming back to the media's role, like Rapala, The Wire is also a small organization. We are non-profit, and we are supported and sustained just by people.
Your community,
You
right?
think that this is a kind of model that can really challenge dictators, because we are nowhere. I mean, of course, we are there, and there is an appetite and hunger to know more, to listen to us, to read us. There is a huge viewership and readership we have, but at the same time, we can never match the size and the reach of the mainstream media.
This is why we also, social media, these tech platforms, they've enabled this. But part of the reason I continue to engage, we're one of 2 Filipino fact-checking partners, is because they have the power to do something right now. And I think we need to maybe come together better and demand greater safety.
How do you do that?
I don't know, let's
What are
figure
the
it
new
out.
models that you can think of?
Well, so this is something we just did in 3 months, which was way too little. It was a 6-month project that we did, right? But again, like this RISJ, the Reuters Institute report, to me was very damaging to the credibility we need, right? So anyway, so how do we do it? This is the fun part. All right, I should have ended with the fun part.
Yeah.
This is horrendous, but it is also creation. So this is where we kind of have to get our minds together, get our talents together, get our alliances together, and try to create something that doesn't exist yet. How do we do that?
Innovation?
I don't. It's partly innovation, but definitely I think it will come from person to person. It will come from each of our areas of influence and kind of coming together. We could certainly go to Facebook all together, right? I mean, this is part of, in Bond, for example, YouTube is the other one. I don't know if that's, for us, YouTube is number 1 now.
So YouTube is a problem
Yeah.
in India right now.
Yeah.
Like, I am on a platform only solely on YouTube, because TV has been bought over by the powers that be.
So they,
So
so
but
they're
now
almost,
they're trying to capture YouTube, the only medium available, and YouTube is so willingly giving into the demands of the government.
so that's a story we should all be doing. And that, and frankly, we can get international media concerned about that because disinformation is seeded on YouTube.
Yeah.
So we have a lot in common. I think that's the other part, and I think we should strengthen that.
Maria, you emphasized on the fact that online, attack is an offline attack. You said it's a real world attack, but now in India, it has shifted already from online to offline.
The weaponization of the law.
Yeah, so what
What's
I'm trying to
happening?
say here is
Right.
that I am, as a political journalist, working, reporting on the Indian government, I am just a tweet away, or my program away, an article away from going to jail, literally. How do you think people like me and my organization, The Wire, should function, under so much of pressure, like real life consequences?
So the first thing is you need lawyers who will help you through this. You need to tell your community what is happening. You need to make sure you're safe, right? Like there has to be plan A, plan B, plan C. And you need to assess this almost on a daily basis. And then you need to also reach into government.
Reach into government as in?
You need to talk to them and find out, right? Because again, I think it's a stakeholders thing, right? Because I like for me, for example, what does this show about the Marcos administration? I'm not sure yet. Am I foolish for giving the Marcos administration the benefit of the doubt? Some people will say yes. I hope they don't jail me, but I mean, so, but you gotta talk to them so that you also do have power, and collectively you may have power.
Last 2 questions. One is on women journalists.
Okay.
Do you have a particular message for them? Because they're targeted for their gender, they're targeted for their work. In general, we are a marginalized community, and then this pressure that comes on us, it is just impossible sometimes to just carry on the way we do.
Yeah. We have to. There are now groups that are helping us, and a lot of this we need to come together. You're not alone. Right, that's the first message. You're not alone. There are a lot of us who are feeling this, and there's a way to fight it. But most of the time, it's not you fighting it alone, right? Because any journalist, human rights activist, or opposition politician, women politicians are getting clobbered. They can't fight this battle on their own, and that's why we look at my 3 pillars: technology, journalism, community. I always go back to that Pareto principle. Where do I spend most of my time? If we can fix the tech, that that will take care of like the poison that keeps coming in, the virus of lies, and then we can begin to rebuild.
Last question. There are two people, very important people in India. One is Teesta Setalvad, a very well-known human rights activist who worked, with the survivors of the 2002 Gujarat riots when Narendra
I
Modi
saw
was the
this.
chief minister
Yeah.
in Gujarat. And second is a leading fact checker. They both are in
saw.
jail right now.
Yes,
What do you
yes.
have to say about that?
It's shocking. I think Indian journalists, and you should get me, everyone should be talking about this. Everyone should be writing to free Zubair, these things. I'll say from experience, right? When I got arrested, the journalists, people don't want to jump in the fray. Partly fear, partly because of self-interest, right? But how do you get everyone together? You talk to everyone. You pull the people together. That's where the activists are better than journalists. Activists, we're kind of bad at activism because we think the story should tell the story, right? But it's shocking, and it should have gotten more evidence.
To receive instant updates on all videos from The Wire, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Pay to support independent journalism. Click the link in the description and choose the amount you want to pay.